All right, sir. So I think in India, it's a bigger lot of metro cities are available, like Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai. So, in your opinion, which city is best for GCC?
Uh, Many people from other cities may not like it,
Hmm.
but Bangalore is the best. Okay.
Okay, okay,
And Hyderabad is pretty close now. Hyderabad is also equally good.
okay.
There's no doubt about it. And then Pune is also another very good center,
Hmm.
right? Chennai is also a decent center,
Hmm.
right? And after this, you can consider places like Coimbatore,
Hmm.
Mumbai, and NCR region is also a very decent center. There are many GCCs in the NCR region.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
why Bangalore is kind of the is a hub.
Okay, when we are finalizing things, how do you decide? Okay, Bangalore is good for this, Hyderabad is good for this. How do you decide? What is the thought process behind selecting one, I mean, finalizing one location out of rest of 10 different metros?
Uh, there is no real what do you call
A pick
there's no real
process or
reason
something. Hmm.
to choose a particular city. The thing
Hmm.
is, pretty much you get people homogeneous in all of these places. Of course, there are local cultural differences which come into play, right? But when a company or an organization from a different country is coming into India, it should not matter much.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But what actually should matter is the availability of talent, right?
Availability of talent. Okay, okay. Hmm.
So Bangalore is hands down is the best place to get your best talent.
Right, right.
Even the most toughest and the most niche of technologies, you'll find people here.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, oh.
So nichest of the niche technologies,
Any
oldest of
any
technology.
anything you can quote like niche, very niche, where you cannot get in other cities like Pune, something you have got, any example?
Uh, it's a little difficult to give you a precise answer. For
Okay.
example, I don't know if you are aware that the two spacecrafts, Voyager 1 and 2, which went out of the solar system,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay.
That's a technology which is, I think, some 5 decades old.
My God. Okay.
Okay. They don't even have an operating system in that.
Hmm,
If
hmm.
you want someone to program for that, you'll find
Oh,
people in Bangalore,
my God. Okay, 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 okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
They've gone beyond the solar system. They've gone beyond Pluto,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay.
So they're far, far away. They're the farthest man-made objects in the universe
My
from
God.
Earth. Yeah.
So, picking the location is based on the talent pool availability and resource
Yes.
availability,
Talent
checking all
availability,
those
yes.
things.
And
Okay.
also what happens is there are a few other parameters you can consider.
Mm-hmm.
If you're coming from the banking domain and you have actual financial operations in India, typically Mumbai is a place for that. But
Oh,
if you want a tech center, yeah, if you want a tech center, it's better to have an office in Mumbai also because you'll have the operational people there. So it is good to have Mumbai. So in Vision, we do have an office in Mumbai precisely for this reason. So
mm-hmm.
we have 5 or 6 banking clients who have their pure banking operations based out of Mumbai, like
Mm-hmm.
Citibank, for instance. But I'm taking a hypothetical example.
Okay, okay, okay. So, throughout this conversation, what I'm trying to understand is setting up GCC is only for very big MNCs and chains. Is my understanding right? Or even a well-funded startup can think about setting up GCC. What is your opinion?
Yes, startup also can set up a GCC, and in fact, a GCC makes a hell of a lot of sense for a startup.
Mm-hmm.
So I handled one such startup right here in India.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the year 2011, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was AirPlay, Apple AirPlay. So basically, you stream audio over Wi-Fi from an Apple device, like an
Mm-hmm.
iPhone or an iPad, to a speaker or a sound systems. right? So this was a technology. This included a processor, a DSP,
Hmm.
plus all this the OS, which was Linux, and then all the algorithms required to work on the processor, and all the device drivers and all the applications also. And
Hmm.
in fact, Spotify was integrated with this piece, so Spotify could be streamed via an Apple device.
Okay.
So this was a company which was well funded, which had tied up with Apple.
Hmm.
This had clients, like 80, 90 clients across the world. All the top names in audio, Philips, Sony,
Hmm.
Blupon, Grundig, even the best of the best for all our clients.
Hmm.
And the entire team was based out of Bangalore here. We only had the CEO and the CTO who were actually American nationals who used to do up to and fro between California and here.
Okay.
And there was one CFO who was actually Swiss national.
Hmm.
So he used to come to and fro, travel. But other than that, everybody else was here.
Okay.
So
Okay. So it is
entire.
not something only giants can afford. Even a well-funded startup who aspires to have a GCC setup, they also can afford. That's
They
that's
can.
the okay.
And
Okay.
this required a team of about 100 people. I mean, of course, the team varied anywhere between 60 to 130, 140 people we reached, depending on the
Hmm.
stage of the product and the company. And this was
Okay.
ultimately acquired by Microchip.
Okay. 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 Now, considering Trump's last couple of announcements, you could have seen like every day there is a breaking news. So, is it something affects these kind of things? Like, is it impacting GCC story in India?
Are you talking about the changes the new president is bringing in?
Correct. Like last 1 month, we are every day seeing a new breaking
Yes.
news. So we are seeing a lot of
Mhm.
disturbances happening in multiple countries, industries, and tariffs, multiple other things. So is it creating a huge impact, or what exactly is happening in that space?
You asked an excellent question, and nowhere in the news, neither on online nor offline news, people have really discovered this. You have seen tariffs on every country, every product, and even on a country where it has only penguins, right? Have you ever heard of a tariff for a GCC?
Not really.
No.
Huh, huh, huh.
Right? Every IT company across the world, across America have their offices here. Apple
Okay.
has, Google has, Microsoft has, right? Texas Instruments or Intel, AMD, even which is this company, AI chips.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Uh, you
Tesla,
know, every
multiple
company
other.
has a GCC here. Have you
Okay.
ever heard anybody saying tariffs on software exports from India?
Not really.
No,
Hmm, hmm,
right?
hmm.
Why? Do you think it's an accident or so? Do you think the entire US government has overlooked this? No, it
No.
is
Okay.
strategic. They
Okay.
cannot, they need people in India, they need technologies in India. If
Oh.
a country has to be in the forefront, they
Hmm.
have to be ahead in technology. They can't tax themselves on
Oh.
technology and fall behind,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So that this, I think, nobody has talked about it.
I mean, that's a very relaxed,
Yes.
reflexive news for the people who are into this particular space, and the good news for them as well. Now, I'll just move on to your other verticals. Like there are companies like Terraform 360, all those you have just worked, and it is basically into real estate. So real estate is something, it's very hard to sell or hard to be in that space and all that, but still you were able to hit huge numbers. That means 20 crore plus assets in 6 years. How does that story happen?
Yeah, see, Bangalore is one of the hottest hubs for real estate, right? The real estate in Bangalore has grown hundredfolds over the last 20, 30 years.
Hmm.
100x literally. Okay. And I think there are only a few other spots like this in the world, Dubai being one of them.
Hmm.
Okay. So investing in real estate is the smartest thing to do in Bangalore, especially.
Okay.
And this is the one of the best places in India, no matter what anybody says,
Mm-hmm.
right? In terms of ROI. Okay. So I started investing in that, and then I have been investing for the last 30 plus years
Mm-hmm.
and made some good, decent profits. And then in the last 6, 7 years, just before a couple of years before COVID, I decided to jump in fully. I started developing the properties with the hospitality sector. And now we are capable of developing properties for office space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In world-class office space, we can set it up and bring it up right from acquiring the land to construction and all the approvals you need, all the government bodies, regulations we understand, we have all the legal teams, right? So we have all kinds of teams to support us, and then very, very quickly we can set it up. But even otherwise, if we need to acquire an existing property, we again have all the backing of all kinds of teams. So to help us acquire the properties, either for tenancy or even for ownership. So we are capable of that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my personal strength.
Okay, okay. Now, as independent director, how do you handle this GCC strategy as a strategy, if you call it? How do you handle these GCC from top to bottom? Like, what are all the major challenges ahead? How do you take up a blueprint, if I have to call that way? Like, where do you start and where do you end?
Okay. See, in a podcast like this, I can only give you generic answers, right?
Hmm.
So if you want to get in, there are a lot of finer nuances in a GCC, and that's true of any business, right? We
Okay.
cannot capture all of that in a half an hour or 1 hour podcast, and
Oh.
also you cannot generalize them also. So some of them will be very, very specific to a particular situation, right?
Hmm.
This
Different use
I can
cases.
only answer that with an example that will give
Hmm.
you a depth, a better dipstick for you to understand, right? So when we transition one of the product suites from the US to Bangalore in one of my earlier companies in GCC, uh, this was the L2 support part of it started falling behind.
Hmm.
Okay. So the queue of tickets that needed to be addressed started growing and they were not diminishing.
Hmm.
But the same team, when it was sitting in the US, it was all right. And the team, after their initial technology transfer and initial getting acclimatized with the environment, they moved to India and then started falling down. The same guys.
Hmm.
Okay, then how do you answer this? The same sort of people, same software, same company, same products, same clients. Everything is same, except that they moved from there to here. And the same hardware also, whether it's your
Hmm.
workstations, servers, clouds, everything was the same. Tools were same.
Hmm.
So then there's a little bit of a panic, and then we decided to put them back in the US once again.
Okay.
And then things got fixed again.
Okay.
Then we suspected these guys are trying to play fool,
Oh, oh,
right?
oh. Oh.
We suspected the people there. So we started scrutinizing them a little bit more. And
Hmm.
then what we realized was this particular software suite of products were very mission critical.
Hmm.
Okay. And the overlap time that was required with some of the personnel in the Western Hemisphere, Europe and US,
Hmm.
needed to be almost real time because if you come to India, it is like almost 12 hours away.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that was the issue. It took about a year or a year and a half for us to figure this out. And
Hmm.
then we decided, we will put them there in the US office. It doesn't matter. It will cost us a little more. But we did that. And then things moved out very well. And also
Fantastic.
at that time, we also gave them cell phones. At the time, cell phones were very expensive. So we
Hmm.
gave them cell phones. So they were available 24 by 7. So the clients were happy with that.
Very
And
good.
escalation started coming down.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
things fell into place.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So there'll be
So,
some issues like this, several
hmm.
nuances. And
Okay.
Mumbai, I told you Mumbai, we need to have an office if you are in the BFSI sector. So like that, there will be a few nuances you need to look into. It
Nuances.
is very specific to the company, to domain, to
Okay.
the problem within that company and within the domain also.
Mm-hmm. So it cannot be like generalistic. It depends on the use cases. You customize your strategy,
Yes.
build
Yes.
accordingly.
Yes.
Take a smart decision according to that situation. Okay,
Yes. As an
fine.
independent director, that is his job,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay. Hmm.
As an independent director or even a managing director or a CEO or an MD,
Hmm.
he has to look into these things. A
Okay.
generalized thing, any C-star O or a mid-level management guy can go Google it out and then get things. Now you have AI to search and all that. No,
Hmm. Hmm.
this
Hmm.
is very, very specific to specific issues, specific problems. And sometimes
Hmm.
they can be cultural also. Especially
Okay.
if you're going to the manufacturing vertical, there'll be a
Hmm.
lot of cultural differences
Okay.
between teams.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Manufacturing is like 2 centuries or 3 centuries old business, right?
Right,
So
right.
they have very, very deeply entrenched work cultures, which is different from other industries, other verticals.
Hmm. 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 Okay, okay. So, where do you see GCC in India in next 5 to 10 years having these kind of disruptions, multiple policies, regulations, all that happening? What do you think as an independent director? What do you see as a future? What do you see as a bold prediction, if I call it? What all, in your opinion?
Yeah, see, if you had asked this question 5 years back, 10 years back, 20 years back,
Hmm.
the answer would have been excellent, beautiful, best.
Okay.
There's still a lot of opportunity for growth,
Hmm.
and that continues even today, even with
Oh,
today's,
okay.
even as 2025
Hmm.
April, even it's valid even today.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you may ask, you're just trying to extrapolate what has happened in the last 3 decades. No,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
if the Trump administration has not levied any taxes,
Hmm.
any tariffs on software exports or technology exports, even a GCC for lawyers, even
Hmm.
they are not taxed,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So, and then, if you take the big five, big four, they
Hmm.
do a lot of, they have GCCs for legal work, for the CPA, all the accounting background. They do all
Hmm.
of that. There's no tariffs on them.
Hmm.
That is a very clear indication that a lot of work is going to move here. A lot
Hmm.
of companies are going to establish their presence here. And if
Hmm.
they are not, they'll start falling behind,
Hmm.
right? The competitors will always go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So that brings the conclusion of this wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for, throwing a lot of lights into the GCC space because many people are not aware because they're all at a surface level. We are seeing blogs and other articles where we may not know the nuances that this much level of criticality and nuances and use cases. Not affected by tariffs. Multiple things are inbuilt inside, and I've learned a lot in last 60 minutes, which is thoroughly I enjoyed this kind of a conversation. And do you provide any free consulting? I think you said in the previous thing that you do free consulting. So do you provide at what kind of a free consulting you do for which kind of a people so that it will helpful for the audience?
Okay. See, anybody who is exploring to set up a GCC here in India,
Hmm.
okay, or anybody who already has a technology center, a GCC here, and
Hmm.
they're facing multiple issues,
Okay.
right? And or they have a small GCC team and they want to multiply it like 5x or 10x. They may have
Okay.
100, 200 people. They want 2,000 people, 3,000 people, right? And these are the typical kind of people that I can give them a one-to-one for about a
Hmm.
half an hour or 1 hour. Right?
Okay.
Beyond that, they want further association. We can discuss on a mutually beneficial terms,
Yeah. Yeah.
and will help to progress in that manner.
Right, right, right. That's what initial clarity call would help a lot in terms of how you can help them in terms of various elements, because before talking they may not understand what is the problem, but during the conversation they can discover a lot elements where you can come as an independent director and help them in a lot of nuances. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a lot of valuable tips and other aspects of GCC part of it. You have any
Thank
final
you.
aspect to the audience to convey?
Thank you, Kumar, and you have been a great host. I think you've already done a lot of homework and groundwork. You asked all the relevant questions.
Right. Right.
So, and in the right order also,
Yeah.
which is difficult for a non-technical person
Right.
or a non-specialist in this area to be
Right.
able to come with the right set of interviewing questions.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.